guys, so today I'm here with my dad. We're going to be answering the questions that you guys posted on that video where I had talked about, me having a video featuring my parents where they answer the questions that you guys have. So, first question. Now this question is a little bit obscure. It's not really referring to when or where, or I don't exactly understand what it is referring to, but my dad did his best to answer it. So the first question is, were they ever worried or scared for you? Dad?
Thanks, Zoe. Of course, witnessing the struggles of your child, coming to realize and try to accept that the choices made and the various paths taken is troubling for an adult and for a parent.
Thanks, Dad. Okay, the next question is, Dad, did you ever feel like you had failed raising me as your child when I came out? Or did you feel like you had done really well to raise a strong woman?
I know that as a parent that I raised my child to be respectful to others, to believe in Jesus Christ as our Savior, and to put others before ourselves. The decision you've taken to come out and ultimately identify as female has no correlation to failure. I believe that true failure is knowing the right thing to do and not doing it.
Okay, so in regards to transition, do you feel like transition was the right thing for me to do? Like, I know that's kind of a loaded question, but what is the right thing? Because if you don't feel like I'm a failure here and I've transitioned, wouldn't by proxy me having transitioned be like me having done the right thing?
The best way for me to answer that is, I know in my heart what's good for me, and I've come to realize that I can't make decisions for other people, nor is it appropriate. So what may be right in my heart and my mind isn't necessarily right for you.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important thing to touch on, that I think we each have our own internal sense of what, the Lord has planned for us and what we're supposed to do to best align us with God's will, right? And I know I'm getting a little bit religious here, so bear with me, guys, but, I truly feel for me, transition was what I needed to do to move closer to God, because I was at a point, as you know, where I was suicidal. I couldn't go on continuing to live as male, and I knew that God had something greater planned for me, and if I was to kill myself, I would be robbing not only my friends and my family of the opportunity to have me in their life, and for me to have them in my life, but I would be robbing myself of the opportunity to continue doing God's will. So, next question. Did you have any ideas before I came out, like thought I might have been before I told them? I know I came out as gay first. Well, first it was I came out as bisexual, and a couple months later I was like, no, just kidding, I'm gay. And then I was like, okay, I'm gay for a couple of years, and then it's like, no, trans.
Yeah. No, I have to say I had no idea, nor did I ever imagine the possibility. So, good, bad, or indifferent, it set me back. I had to do some soul searching, and after I did, it became clear what I needed to think about and do and share with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think this is a good point to talk about, the kind of person I was in high school. I was definitely not a feminine person in high school. I think from an early age, you and I kind of bonded, or you got me involved with martial arts. And I remember, after martial arts, we used to kind of bargain. And I would be like, I really want this Halloween pencil topper. You remember that?
Yeah.
And you're like, you have to do 100 push-ups in the parking lot right now for me to give you the 50 cents to get this pencil topper. So that was kind of our relationship moving forward to high school. And then in high school, it kind of started to evolve a little bit more. I remember I got involved with theater after I came out as gay, right? And that was when I started dating Steven, and then I started accepting that stuff more. But prior to that, I used to play downstairs, play video games, and, like, that was typical, in millennial lingo, bro gamer behavior. So, okay. Next question. I would ask if your parents still really love you, because anyone can ask questions about anything, but family love is wonderful. And there's pretty much nothing else that matters. So, do you still love me?
Well, there's no question about that. That I deeply love you, and all of my kids. There's something about God instilling responsibility in you having children. There's a responsibility there, and I think part of what I've come to realize is the challenges that your children give you are the ones that make you stronger.
Do your best to look at the camera, like lens is right there. Because otherwise people are going to be like, who's he talking to? But yeah, okay, I think that's a great answer.
Well, one other thing. Withholding the love I have in my heart is just not possible. And that's what it came down to. Could I pull back and really withhold the love that I felt? And the answer was black and white. Of course not.
Absolutely. Okay. Next question is, Dad, did you feel like you had failed? Actually, that question was already asked. So we're not going to ask that again. That's my fault. All right. Do you feel any responsibility, or more accurately, guilt regarding me being transgender? Do you feel like some way, somehow it was your fault that I turned out to be me?
Actually, I'm responsible for what I teach, what I demonstrate to you and the other kids. I believe that guilt comes from making poor choices and not turning away from doing the wrong thing. We go through life, and every mistake we make, we're at a crossroads. Are we going to do something about it, or are we going to just let it happen again? Ownership of our mistakes, asking for forgiveness, and then doing the right thing is what matters.
Yeah. Okay. What would you say to a parent who's not supporting their kid queer issues-wise? Now, you and I both share this, that, we're believers in the Lord, right? We trust in Lord Jesus Christ, that he died for our sins, and, he gives us strength where we don't have any. Now, there's a lot of parents out there who are Christian and will use the Bible as a weapon to justify kicking out their kids. Trans youth, there's an epidemic with homelessness, not just trans, but gay, lesbian, bisexual, anything that is queer is typically shunned upon. And the problem is the Bible, which is an instrument of love, can be used and twisted into something that is a justification for hate. So what would you say to a parent who perhaps is using the Bible or what society says to justify not supporting their kid?
Well, it all comes down to love and kindness. To me, the term supporting is not synonymous with agreeing. A parent who truly loves and demonstrates kindness as their way of life, following the Bible to train a child in the way they should go, even when they are old, they'll not depart from it. My prayer for all of you kids is that your training and the training you'll give your children someday never ends. And this puts others there's a choice. You either put others first or you put yourself first.
Okay, so when I first came out, and this goes back to even when I came out as gay, you had to make a choice. I remember the first time, this is a little, not necessarily suitable for young kids, but I was found with a unmentionable type of toy for a certain act, and my father came in and he found it. And I remember you coming in with the Bible, and you were crying. Now, you've gone from that moment to calling me your daughter, and, we text, and you call me sweetie and stuff, and you call me she, her. That turnaround is monumental. That's a 180. I think that's a testament to not only your ability, but to the power of God. That, God was able to work through you to bring you to this point. Can you speak to that? Kind of how you did that 180?
Well, I wouldn't describe it as a 180. I think it was an awareness that when I took mental pause, I prayed. I knew I had no control over the circumstances or the future, that I inherently wanted to embrace you for who you are. And it's as simple as that. What you do, I might not condone, but the love and the relationship between us makes the difference.
Yeah. And, you and I have kind of been at ends when it comes to sexual reassignment surgery, or, gender confirmation, however you want to put it. And that's something that we just kind of don't really talk much about. That's just, I respect where you're at with that, and I think you respect where I'm at with that. So I think that's a testament to, you could still accept and welcome your child and, gender them correctly, be loving and caring, even if you may not necessarily feel like that's a necessity. Now, that's something I wish, I feel like you could be there with me, but, I leave that in God's hands. If that's meant to be, you'll eventually reach that point. If not, then that's okay. Yeah. I know in my heart what is right for me. And again, we talked about this earlier, that what is right for you may not be right for me, and what is right for me may not be right for you.
Right. I think the thing that differentiates parents that are willing to understand and those that put up the black wall is their desire to not be embarrassed, not feel guilty that they did something wrong. And with the power of Christ, I'm able to do that. And so.
Yeah, and I think that's a great example where we can use our relationship with Christ to, give us the strength to do stuff that we can't do on our own. I've talked about in my testimony as to being Christian and transgender, in my video I did a couple months back, about how, God really helped me through transition, and how I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for God. And I think my dad is a prime example. You use your faith as an aid. You rely on God as your extra power, your extra strength, where we don't have any. And I just think that's so commendable. My dad has always been a great example for me, and somebody I look up to, not only because, he's really fun to be around. We watch movies, and, I remember when I was a kid, we used to watch James Bond together, and it was great. But, also in a love for Christ, and we can talk about that and share how monumental that has been in our lives. So, do your parents ever revert and call you he? Do you find the pronoun change hard to implement?
Well, I must admit that I do make the mistake, but not as often. And change is always difficult. But somewhere in the process, being thoughtful,
California's calling.
sorry about that. Somewhere in the process, being thoughtful. If I make the mistake, I hope you don't hear it.
Yeah.
And most of the time, I think I'm doing better.
Yeah. And he has really, really improved. When I first came out as transgender, I remember, you used to call me Z, and that drove me nuts. It drove me up a wall. Because I'm like, why can't you use she? Like, why Z? But you really have come a long way, and I really don't hear you slip up much at all. I don't even remember the last time you slipped up. And I give you a lot of credit for working on that, because that's something small that I think parents can do for their kids who are trans-identified to help them feel welcomed and help them feel accepted and loved, because it's almost like your way of saying, I see you, I accept you, and this is who you are, and I'm going to refer to you that way. Based on your experience with me, what advice would you give other parents who have just learned that their son or daughter is trans? And this is like right there. Mom, Dad, I'm trans.
Well, the advice I can give to other parents is to first do the soul searching and pray about it. I believe that the greatest awareness is coming to realize that we can't control other people and have the ability, recognizing we have the ability to turn this over to God. Our relationships with our God and others can provide the support and help we require in our search for truth.
Okay. But what if, your relationship with others is not so much pro-queer? Like, what then? What if you don't believe in God? What about parents who are in that position where they're just, perhaps a dad who is in the military who's really strict on, men are men, women are women. What would you say to parents like that who don't have the asset of being able to call upon God?
Well, even if they do not practice their spiritual role, they may be totally unconnected to God. There is evidence that is witnessed in every family, and it comes down to two things: love and kindness. And you strip away all the other stuff, and you look at those two things, and that's what makes the difference. How can somebody with love, kindness in their heart, be cruel, turn away their own blood?
Yeah.
It's incongruent, doesn't make sense. And we see through the years of our life this demonstrated by other people, by other families that love. Unfortunately, there are many people that hide their love, they hold it back. It's a big mistake because it hurts you and your family and probably the rest of your life.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Dad.
My pleasure.
I love you. Sorry, I got some lipstick on your shirt.
Well, that's all right. Your mom, oh my.
Okay, well, thank you guys for watching. I know this was a very long video, but I hope this helps somebody, whether you're about to come out to your parents as trans, or you're a parent who's watching this video, trying to comprehend, what just happened now that your kid has told you, hey, I'm not who you thought I was. I'm not the person I was assigned at birth. How do you deal with that? And I'm just really proud of my dad, and I love him dearly. And I would not be who or where I'm at today if it was not for him. So thank you so much for doing this.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye, guys.